everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit more informative. I wanted to talk about two things. Number one, the gap in my resume. A lot of people ask me how I handled the fact that I was out of corporate work for over 3 years and started applying again in this type of market. And then second, I want to talk about the jobs I applied for, their salary ranges, and also what I was offered for salary for the first offer that I didn't accept. I was thinking about whether or not to share like the numbers and salaries in previous videos, and I realized all of this information is public. Even as you apply to jobs, you see the exact salary range. So yeah, I'm just going to be a little bit more transparent today, especially a lot of you guys are job hunting or maybe still in school. Okay, so I pulled up my resume and I'm going to share what I put for the last 2 bullet points. From August 20 to August 2021, 1 year, I worked for chess.com. I was a front end, a lot of programming. It was a fully remote job. And yeah, you can just read that. Honestly, I use ChatGPT for a lot of these bullet points. Really good for stuff like that. So in August 2021, I decided to quit my job at Chess to do full-time YouTube. But I also wanted to try building out ratemydorm.com because it was an idea that I've been sitting on for a long time. And there was no better time to do it than when YouTube was picking up and I could actually support myself. So yeah, the first year, post chess.com, it was pretty much like I had a full-time job for Rate My Dorm. It was just a lot of coding. I was documenting it on this channel as well. And yeah, here are the bullet points that I use for Rate My Dorm. The first bullet point, I just talked about the technologies I use, things like TypeScript, Next.js, super popular technologies, and it was right in line with the technologies of the jobs that I was applying for. The second bullet point, I talked about how I drove SEO growth. Here's something interesting. As you could see in the title, I used the title of software engineer full stack. Last year when I tried applying to a few jobs, I put founder on there, and I didn't really get any bites with those applications. This time around, I put that I was just a full stack engineer, and obviously later in the process of the interviews, it was no secret that I built Rate My Dorm myself. But in terms of the first recruiter screening the resume, I kind of think that putting that I'm a full stack engineer rather than I'm a founder is a little bit more hireable. During the other rounds of interviews, things like the behavioral interviews where they asked me questions about my personal experience, I mainly was just talking about ratemydorm.com. And what's nice about having a personal project like this, it's a very easy way to demonstrate my programming skills. And as they were interviewing me, they were also on ratemydorm.com themselves and they were asking questions about it, on how I did certain things. Yeah, it was a really easy way for me to talk about what I can build. And if there's a takeaway from this, for those of you that are applying to jobs and don't have like crazy experience, like I only had 2 years of full-time experience and 3 years of having a personal project, and I got 2 offers. So yeah, Rate My Dorm somehow worked out. In terms of Rate My Dorm today, Rate My Dorm is a super seasonal business. So like in the fall and the winter, traffic just drops because people already moved into dorms. But starting from like January all the way to August, it's usually a curve that goes all the way up in terms of monthly traffic, which means it is that time of year to start programming Rate My Dorm again, doing some upkeep. And if you're wondering how I'm handling programming a full-time job and also Rate My Dorm, I do some coding around the clock, like in the mornings and the evenings. But for new features that I want to build out that take a bit more time, what I do is I get some programming help from freelancers on Fiverr. Fiverr connects you with freelancers that offer a wide variety of digital services. Think things like social media marketing, website development, video editing. In my case, I wanted to hire a programmer on Fiverr, and they have so many freelancers that have the exact skill set of what I'm looking for to complete this new Rate My Dorm feature. And the feature that I want to implement is that on ratemydorm.com, students can write a review, and honestly, a lot of these times these reviews are spam. So I was hoping to implement OpenAI to automatically detect that these reviews are spam, and if they are, then just reject it without me needing to do anything. So I hired this freelancer and introduced the problem to him. He quickly agreed that he could do it, and within a day, he sent me a demo of the spam checker working and also the entire zip file of all the code. From there, I implemented it into Rate My Dorm, and honestly saved me hours of time. I don't really have much time programming outside of my job anymore, and with Fiverr, I can keep my app Rate My Dorm progressing without needing to do much work myself. So if you have a business and want to hire one of their many freelancers, head to fiverr.co/jedcal to check out the services available to you and get 10% off your first order with code JEDCALFEB. But it's 4 o'clock right now. It's a Super Bowl Sunday. I'm gonna leave pretty soon. Just got home from getting a haircut, as you can see. Now for the moment you guys have been waiting for, I'm gonna talk about the jobs that I applied for and the offer that I got that I didn't accept. Some disclosure, I live in New York City. Everything is way more expensive here. So if you're listening to these salaries thinking that it's a lot, you have to factor in the fact that rent, food, everything is much more expensive. Some people wondered if I put YouTube on my resume, and I actually removed anything about YouTube on my resume, on LinkedIn. Not that it's a secret. One, I think with engineering resumes specifically, I don't think they care much about the fact that you have extracurricular. But with that said, my YouTube channel specifically is not really a secret to my company. I recently met up with the influencer team for my company because I worked with them on something years ago. So they're aware that I'm in the company. I also realized I have a lot of coworkers that are viewers. I've been messaged to on Slack, even in the office I've been stopped, which is really cool, by the way. One guy, I sat near him in the office and he was like, I just finished watching your job interview videos and I was wondering where you ended up. And there I was sitting next to him like weeks later. I think in due time I'll mention where I work, but for now, we're gonna keep that a secret. Now let's talk about the 2 roles that I applied for. So most of the jobs that I applied for were for front-end engineering. So if there's software engineering, there's a part of it that's related to front-end, and those are the roles that I've applied to. Those are the roles that my experience was in. And I also prefer front-end engineering over back-end engineering by far. I will say that back-end engineers get paid more than front-end. Front-end development has this visual and creative side to the job that makes me prefer it so much more than back end. Company number 1 is a startup based in New York City. They were asking that I come in 4 times a week. On their job listing as front engineer, that job was $160K to $200K. And when I say those numbers, that only includes the base salary, which means just the paychecks. They also offer compensation in the form of equity. So yeah, I did many rounds of interviews with this company. They ended up giving me an offer, and the offer was a base salary of $180K. That also included some equity in the company. But mind you that this is a private company, so equity works a little bit differently than it does with a company that's public. In other words, there's more risk, but a higher potential upside. Like if you really believe in that startup, then that equity could really be worth a lot one day. For company number 2, yeah, the job listing was for $120K to about $160K. Again, this is still just base salary, just the paycheck. And as you can see, the range is lower than company number 1. But for company number 2, they only require that I go in twice a week. They also offered equity, they offered sign-on bonuses. But the biggest thing here is that company number 2 is a very established and a public company. So because it's a reputable company, that equity is pretty much cash, meaning every time I'm awarded this equity, I could sell it. So I took that into consideration when I was deciding which offer I should take. No regrets there. Hope this video was informative and helpful. I think providing value on this channel is something that I've been craving. As a full-time vlogger, there was only so much value I could have given you. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you guys soon.